Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Parky, and today I'm going to bring you a video just giving a brief history over video game consoles. Starting back from the early 90s, we're going to start with a classic Sega console. And this video is just more to give you some brief details over some of the popular software, some of the sales figures, and just some of the more general things like that. However, if you are interested in a more in-depth analysis about a console in particular, or even some of the consoles I skipped, because there's no way I'm gonna be able to reach every console from the 90s. There's just way too many. Let me know down in the comments below. I'd be happy to do a follow-up video, a part 2, or I even have some ideas of a series where I give an in-depth analysis of each console, giving a ton of information about it. I think that'd be really fun to make. I did have a blast doing research for this video, so just let me know down in the comments below. Definitely like this video, it helps me a lot, and I will leave links to my Twitch, Twitter, you know, all my social medias, good things like that down below. Come swing by, check out my Twitch. I do play games with my community all the time. I stream at least 3 days a week, so come on by and say hi. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Help me help.
The Super Nintendo Entertainment System, SNES, also known as the Super NES or Super Nintendo, is a 16-bit home video game console developed by Nintendo that was released in 1990 in Japan, then later 1991 in North America. Although each version is essentially the same, several forms of region lockout prevented different cartridges from being compatible with one another. The SNES is Nintendo's second programmable home console, following the Nintendo Entertainment System, their original home console. The console introduced advanced graphics and sound capabilities compared with other systems at the time. The system was designed to accommodate the ongoing development of a variety of enhancement chips integrated in the game cartridges to be competitive into the next generation. The SNES was a global success, becoming the best-selling console of the 16-bit era after launching relatively late and facing intense competition from Sega Genesis consoles in North America and Europe. Overlapping the NES 61.9 million unit sales, the SNES remained popular well into the 32-bit era, with 49.1 million units sold worldwide by the time it was discontinued in 2003. And wow, that's just crazy to think that this console that released here in the States 1991 stayed in development all the way up to 2003. That's quite the lifespan. Now, me personally, I did grow up playing on the SNES, and I have a lot of fun memories on this console. I am gonna be showing some gameplay of some of the games from that era. If you happen to be one of those young whippersnappers out there who've never played or seen anything on the SNES, you'll be seeing some gameplay right above on the video. But some notable games that really stood out to me on this console were Contra 3, Earthbound, which I've yet to play Earthbound. I really do want to play it. I know it's supposed to be a phenomenal game, phenomenal RPG. Earthworm Jim 2, that was one of my favorite games growing up as a kid. There was Kirby's Dream Land 3, F-Zero. I know there was Super Castlevania, those games were good on there. Then of course, you know, the Mario Worlds, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. There's just a lot of great games, a lot of good memories on this console. The Sega CD, released as the Mega CD in most regions outside North America and Brazil, is a CD-ROM accessory for the Sega Genesis, designed and produced by Sega as part of the 4th generation of video game consoles. It was released on December 12, 1991 in Japan, then October 15, 1992 in North America. The main benefit of CD technology was greater storage, which allowed for games to be nearly 320 times larger than Sega Genesis cartridges. This benefit manifested as full motion video (FMV) games such as the controversial Night Trap, while the Sega CD became known for several well-received games such as Sonic CD and Lunar Eternal Blue. Its library contained many Genesis ports and poorly received full motion video games. 2.2 million Sega CD units were sold by March 1996, after which Sega discontinued the system to focus on the Sega Saturn. Retrospective reception is mixed, with praise for individual games and additional functions, but criticism for its lack of deep games, high price, and support from Sega. The Sega Saturn is a 32-bit 5th generation home video console developed by Sega and released on November 22nd, 1994 in Japan, then May 11th, 1995 in North America. The successor to the successful Sega Genesis, the Saturn has a dual CPU architecture and 8 processors. And this is a little off the script, but that's kind of impressive. Especially for 1994, kind of impressive for a home video game console. Anyways, its games are in CD-ROM format, and its game library contains several arcade ports as well as original games. Development of the Saturn began in 1992, the same year Sega's groundbreaking 3D Model 1 arcade hardware debuted. The system was designed around a new CPU from Japanese electronic company Hitachi. Sega added another video display processor in early 1994 to better compete with Sony's forthcoming PlayStation. The Saturn was initially successful in Japan, but failed to sell in large numbers in the United States after its surprise May 1995 launch. 4 months before its scheduled release date, after the debut of the Nintendo 64 in late 1996, the Saturn rapidly lost market share in the US, where it was discontinued in 1998. Having sold 9.26 million units worldwide, the Saturn is considered a commercial failure. The PlayStation is a home video game console developed and marketed by Sony Computer Entertainment. It was first released on December 3rd, 1994 in Japan, and on September 9th, 1995 in North America, which it was the first of the PlayStation lineup of video game consoles. As a 5th generation console, the PlayStation primarily competed with the Nintendo 64 and the Sega Saturn. The PlayStation was the first computer entertainment platform to ship over 100 million units, wow, which it had reached 9 years after its initial launch. In 2000, a redesigned slim version called the PS1 was released, replacing the original gray console and named appropriately to avoid confusion with its successor, the PlayStation 2. The last PS1 units were sold in late 2006 to early 2007, shortly after it was officially discontinued, for a total of 102 million units shipped since its launch 11 years earlier. Games with the PlayStation continued to sell until Sony ceased production on both the PlayStation and PlayStation games on March 23rd, 2006. Alright, up next, one of my personal favorite consoles, the Nintendo 64. It's a home video game console developed and marketed by Nintendo. I feel like pretty much everyone should know that, even the youngsters. It was named for its 64-bit central processing unit. It was released in June 1996 in Japan, then followed up by a September 1996 release in North America. It was the last major home console to use the cartridge as its primary storage format until the Nintendo Switch in 2017. The Nintendo 64 was discontinued in the mid-2000s following the launch of its successor, the GameCube, in 2001, or as I like to call it, the Cube. Codenamed Project Reality, the Nintendo 64 design was mostly completed by the mid-1995, but its launch was delayed until 1996 when Time Magazine named it Machine of the Year. It was launched with 3 games: Super Mario 64, Pilot Wings 64, and Psycho Habu Shogi, which that last one was exclusive to Japan. Am I even going to leave that last part in here? Should I edit that out? No, I'm going to leave it in. As part of the 5th generation of gaming, the system competed primarily with the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. The suggested retail price at its United States launch was $199, and 32.93 million units were sold. Now, I was fairly young at the launch for the Nintendo 64, so I really can't confirm if it actually was priced at $200 basically, according to the internet, that's what it says. But dude, I can't even imagine buying a home console at $200 these days. That's just insane. The PlayStation 2 is a home video game console developed and marketed by Sony Computer Entertainment. It was first released in Japan on March 4th, 2000, and in North America on October 26, 2000. A 6th generation console, it competed with Sega's Dreamcast, Nintendo's GameCube, and Microsoft's original Xbox. Announced in 1999, the PS2 offered backwards compatibility for its predecessor's DualShock controller, as well as its games. The PS2 is the best-selling video game console of all time. Wow. And ladies and gentlemen, I have to say the PS2 is my favorite console of all time. There's so many great games, so many awesome AA, even some single A, I don't know if you want to call those B games or whatever, but they're still good, man. It's stuff you don't see that much these days in the gaming industry. But having sold over 155 million units worldwide as confirmed by Sony, impressive. Over 3,800 game titles have been released on the PS2, that's 3,800, with over 1.5 billion copies sold. Sony later manufactured several smaller, lighter revisions of the console known as Slimline models in 2004. And I actually did buy a PlayStation 2 Slim whenever those came out. I guess upgraded, side graded from the old bulky, the big boy PlayStation 2 to that slim one. I believe mine was a top loader if I remember correctly. Even with the release of its successor, the PlayStation 3, the PS2 remained popular well into the 7th generation and continued to be produced until 2013, when Sony finally announced it had been discontinued after over 12 years of production. That's quite a long time. One of the longest lifespans of a video game console. Despite the announcement, new games for the console continue to be produced until the end of 2013. And that's why PS2 is just my personal favorite game console. What's yours? The original Xbox console is a home video game console and the first installment in the Xbox series of video game consoles manufactured by Microsoft. It was released as Microsoft's first foray into the gaming console market on November 5th, 2001 in North America, followed by Australia, Europe, and Japan in 2002. It is classified as a 6th generation console, competing with Sony's PlayStation 2, Nintendo's GameCube as well. It was also the first major console produced by an American company since the Atari Jaguar ceased production in 1996. I actually didn't know that. That's kind of a fun fact. Announced in 2000, the Xbox was graphically powerful compared to its rivals, featuring a 733 MHz Intel Pentium 3 processor that could be found in your standard PC during those days. It was also noted for its PC-like size and weight, and it was the first console to feature a built-in hard disk. The Xbox had a record-breaking launch in North America, selling 1.5 million units before the end of 2001. Aided by the popularity of one of the system's launch titles, Halo Combat Evolved, which, hey, today they actually just released Halo Combat Evolved on the Master Chief Collection on PC and all that. It's cool, really cool, which sold 1 million units by April 2002. The system went on to sell a worldwide total of 24 million units, including 16 million in North America. However, Microsoft was unable to make a steady profit off of the console, which had a manufacturing price far more expensive than its retail price. Despite its popularity, losing over $4 billion during its market life, the system outsold the GameCube and the Sega Dreamcast, but it was vastly outsold by the PS2. The Nintendo GameCube is a home video game console released by Nintendo in Japan and North America in 2001. The 6th generation console is the successor to the Nintendo 64. It competed with Sony's PlayStation 2 and Microsoft's original Xbox. The GameCube is the first Nintendo console to use optical discs as its primary storage medium. The discs are in the mini DVD format, and the system was not designed to play full-size DVDs or audio CDs. Unlike its competitor, and focused on gaming instead. The console supports limited online gaming for a small number of games via a GameCube broadband or modem adapter, and it can connect to a Game Boy Advance with a link cable, which allows players to access exclusive in-game features using a handheld as a second screen and controller. That's pretty dope. Reception of the GameCube at the time was generally positive. The console was praised for its controller, extensive software library, and high-quality games, but was criticized for its exterior design and lack of features. Nintendo sold 21.74 million GameCube units worldwide before the console was discontinued in 2007. The Nintendo Wii is a home video game console released by Nintendo on November 19, 2006. As a 7th generation console, the Wii competed with Microsoft's Xbox 360 and Sony's PlayStation 3. Nintendo states that its console targets a broader demographic than that of the two other consoles, such as the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. As of the first quarter of 2016, the Wii led its generation over the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 worldwide sales, with more than 101 million units sold in December 2009. The console broke the sales record for a single month in the United States. The Wii introduced the Wii Remote Controller, which can be used as a handheld pointing device and which detects movement in 3D dimensions. And I have to say, from my personal experience, I loved my Wii. I played the Zelda games on it, and Resident Evil 4, in my opinion, was the best on the Wii with those motion controls. It was an enjoyable console. Got people up, it got people moving, and I had fun playing it. Rest in peace, Wii. The Xbox 360 is a home video game console developed by Microsoft as a successor to the original Xbox, and it was to compete against Sony's PlayStation 3 and Nintendo's Wii as part of the 7th generation of video game consoles. It was officially unveiled on MTV on May 12, 2005, with detailed launch and game information announced later that month at the 2005 Electronic Entertainment Expo, or E3 for short, as most people call it. Launched worldwide across 2005 to 2006, the Xbox 360 was initially in short supply in many regions, including North America and Europe. The earliest versions of the console suffered from a high failure rate, indicated by the so-called Red Ring of Death. And I definitely remember the Red Ring of Death. I went through, and it's not even an exaggeration, I went through about 4 or 5 Xbox 360s, and I remember there was some weird trick to where if you wrapped your Xbox in a towel while it had the red ring and you turned it on and let it run for about 10-15 minutes, if I remember correctly, it was supposed to fix it. And I actually did that for one of my consoles, and it fixed it for about an hour before it just red ringed again. But I just thought that'd be kind of a funny thing to share. The Xbox 360 was conceived in early 2003. In February 2003, planning for the Xeon software platform began and was headed by Microsoft's president Jay Allard. That month, Microsoft held an event for 400 developers in Bellevue, Washington to recruit support for the system. And as of June 9th, 2014, 84 million units of the Xbox 360 were sold. And minus all the issues that the 360 had in regards to system failure, they did fix it later on in the console's life cycle because they had about 2 to 3 other iterations of the Xbox 360. And once they got those issues all patched out, the 360 was an amazing console. I did a lot of Xbox Live play with my friends, playing Call of Duty and the Battlefields and just enjoying Xbox Live. It was definitely a good console for its time. Announced in May 21st, 2013, the Xbox One was the successor to the Xbox 360. It was first released in North America, parts of Europe, Australia, and South America in November 2013, and later in Japan, China, and European countries in September 2014. It is the first Xbox game console to be released in China. Pretty cool. Microsoft marketed the device as an all-in-one entertainment system, hence the name Xbox One. Microsoft only publicized its sales figures during the first year after release. On January 6, 2014, Microsoft announced that approximately 3 million consoles have been sold worldwide in 2013. At the time of recording this video, Xbox One and PS4 console war is still going on, but slowly coming to an end. because we are going to have the next Xbox and the next PlayStation coming out here in 2020. Very exciting. But based off sales figures, what the PS4 had, PS4 obviously won. And I personally speculate the reason why PS4 won over the Xbox in the end is, well, the PS4 had dominant software. I mean, their first party titles were far more plentiful and just better overall. All right, now it's time for the PS4. Announced as the successor to the PlayStation 3 in February 2013, it was launched on November 15th in North America, November 29th in Europe, South America, and Australia, then February 22nd, 2014 in Japan. It is the fourth best-selling console of all time. The PS4 was released to critical acclaim, with critics praising Sony for acknowledging its consumer needs, embracing independent game development, and for not imposing the restrictive digital rights management schemes like those originally announced by Microsoft for their Xbox One. Now, as of December 31st, 2019, the PS4 has sold 106 million units. And I have to say, the PS4 exclusive lineup was far superior to the Xbox One. I mean, we got amazing games such as the Uncharted series, God of War, Last of Us, Days Gone, and there's just so many more great games that made the PS4 a super fun system to play. Now, just a small gripe on my end, I kind of thought the UI for the PS4 was garbage. Aside from that, love it. Hey, I hope you liked this video. Do let me know down in the comments below. I'd love some feedback as well. Give me a shout out. Let me know if you would like to see more about any console in particular, or hey, I can even go over the consoles that I missed. As always, peace.